Has anybody noticed that wisdom is off the menu? Nobody's talking about wisdom. Everybody's concerned with wisdom in the context of man's game. In the context of, so let me ask you a question. After you get your money, what's going to happen? What are you going to do? What are you going to do with all that money? After you get that job, what are you going to do? You going to do a good job? Everybody wants to be this or that, have this or that position. But no one's talking about whether or not they want to be in that position with a heaping amount of integrity. And the reason why I'm such a believer in high standards when it comes to your work and when it comes to our interactions, look, I'll be as crappy and as foolish as I'll be in my individual level. I'll hurt myself all day. I'll fumble. I'll be foolish. But when it comes to me stepping into the outside world, I believe that when you and I step outside of our domiciles, our sanctuaries, we should be striving to be the best versions of ourselves because life is already inevitably, intrinsically hellish. Tragedy is inevitable. Unfairness is inevitable. So my argument and my position is, to the best of our ability, we should be striving to be as reasonable and as harmonious and as healthy as possible with each other. Because no one needs to do anything to me. No, everybody could be completely perfect in regards to their interaction with me. And at the end of the day, I will always, almost always, feel a sense of discombobulation because that's my lot in life. Because I'm I have to engage in all kinds of therapeutic practices to offset it. But here's the thing. It ain't no boo-hoo for me. There is no, oh, this is just so unfair. People don't have a real grasp of what unfair is. Some people are right in that unfairness has struck their lives or has struck their environment, has struck their upbringing to a profound degree. But most of us have no idea what true, profound unfairness is. Literally being a damn slave, getting whipped on your back. You know what I'm saying? That's true unfairness. Being a child and being abducted and held in a basement, that's actual, true, profound unfairness. Living in a world where none of these luxuries, none of these surpluses, where food, shelter, and water was not a guarantee, as it is for the vast majority of Americans. Like, stop it. Because here's the thing. People compare and contrast all the time. They utilize that capacity to compare and contrast with people. And I don't do this. I'm proud to say this. I'm self-deprecating, but I don't do this compare and contrast crap because it's so silly. But people compare and contrast all the time with like people who seem to be living a lavish lifestyle, with people who seem to just be living it up. They even have a damn term for it that I suppose is not necessarily used too much anymore, FOMO and whatnot, fear of missing out. And yeah, I'm speaking like an old man because I feel detached from all this. I am a Luddite. I hate this internet shit, to be honest with you. But that being said, people compare and contrast all the time with those who are supposedly, presumably, emphasis on the presumably, doing quote unquote better than you in life. So why aren't you then therefore utilizing this fantastic, powerful thing you got called a human mind that you just are so proud of when you want to virtue signal or you want to be righteous about X, Y, and Z and your strong opinions? Why don't you utilize your mind to compare and contrast with the fact that millions, billions before you have lived lives that you or I would consider to be a nightmare? Already, I know for a fact at the age of 40 that I have lived a better life than billions of other human beings who have ever walked this earth. I've lived a better life in the sense that I've had more comforts, I've had more luxuries, I've had more conveniences, I've had no true moments of hunger, no true moments of distress, even though I experienced Hurricane Katrina. Stuck in my attic for 3 days, got rescued off the roof in a helicopter. I still acknowledge that I've lived a better life than billions before me and even millions right now. We take for granted our luxuries and conveniences. It doesn't therefore mean you can't complain, but it's nonsense. That being said, also, you got to put wisdom back on the menu. People talk about everything in the world, but they don't talk about that pursuit of wisdom, which is why I'm such a fan of the religious capacity. Because the religious capacity seems to me to be the only thing that could truly tether in for some people, it's that capacity for an alignment with the value system, a belief system, and to pursue it with the kind of passion and a zeal, and to pursue it habitually and ritualistically. That's what I mean by the religious capacity. Some people got it all, they just got it so wrong. They think that they can only experience a sense of great revelation and a sense of great profundity only by applying their perception to the ethereal, the otherworldly. Existence is a trip if you just focus on existence itself. You existing now and not existing 100 years ago and not existing 100 years from now, that's a fucking trip. That's a trip. Just the physics of existence, the physics of humanity, the physics of the universe, that in and of itself is a trip. And then we get so bogged down into man's game, the framework of man's game, that it's not that we shouldn't take having a job seriously. I would even argue we should take it more seriously. What do I mean by that? What I mean is people get these jobs. You're a lawyer. Are you a good lawyer? You're a doctor. Are you a good doctor? I don't care about your position. Are you good at it? That's what ultimately matters. I will give all the money in the world to a good Uber Eats driver, to a good waiter at a restaurant. Please. I think more highly of a good waiter than I do a bad doctor. Because what is the point? So, and I sincerely mean that. Because there is no point. My point is wisdom and an interest in a high standard for the application of your energy is what matters. A withdrawal from the materialistic obsession of this world is what matters. An emphasis on the fact that all things considered, you actually do have it pretty good. Why should you look at it like that? Because you do need some well of positivity. You need to draw from some source of positivity. And if you think about it enough and not just stop at the fact that, oh, this sucks for me, you will see that, you know what? I have a lot to be grateful for. That gratefulness does not need to lend itself to a sense of complacency. That gratefulness can lend itself to a sense of galvanization. You can be energized by the gratefulness as opposed to being just purely like that. I guess I'm just very annoyed that I don't see wisdom being spoken about enough or talked about enough or pursued enough. A notion of people aren't defining what wisdom is. I'll give you an example. Wisdom is a bit abstract in a sense, especially when you define it for yourself. I'll give you a sense of wisdom. I'll give you, like, to me, what wisdom means to me. Wisdom means to me is trying to figure out the deeper, more nuanced meanings of everything that we consider to be consequential and important. For example, we say, this is to me an example of what wisdom seeking is. We say, you need to love yourself. Just love yourself. But people rarely, if ever, define what loving yourself means. From my point of view, what I see people do with regards to loving themselves is loving myself means I'm never going to be critical of myself. And even if I am critical, I'm still going to give myself as many passes in the world. And I'm not going to be hard on myself. And everything is okay. You're good. To me, loving yourself is way more specific. And because again, with other people, it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy this for myself, treat myself. Wisdom, loving yourself means treating yourself right despite. Now you got to, again, further define it. What does treating yourself right mean? What define right? Again, because somebody else's definition of right means I'm just gonna, I ain't got no money, but I'm about to go into debt to go on this trip because blah, 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 because I'm gonna treat myself. No, to me, treating quote unquote right means sleep, nourishment, physical activity, and healthy conversation. Doing that which is healthiest and most nourishing to my mind, body, and soul. Not that which is most just purely stimulating. I'm not saying that there's not any space or that we shouldn't emphasize and think about what excites us and stimulates us at a visceral level, but also we have to consider what nourishes me. Oftentimes, what nourishes you is the more boring, mundane activities, literally withdrawing, forcing yourself to sit in silence for an hour. I would argue that is treating yourself right. Even though in that first 10 minutes, you're about to go out of your mind and it felt like an hour has passed, but it's only been 10 minutes, I would argue that that is treating yourself right. Because what that does is you see, oh, wait, after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I reset. I'm sort of have a kind of cognitive reset and I feel so much better. And I sort of have like a kind of subconscious digestion of a lot of the things that was going on in my mind. That's treating yourself right. Treating yourself right is, you know what? I do need to take out all this sugar. And when you experiencing that withdrawal, which just demands of your system, no, eat the sugar, eat the sugar. Treating yourself right is no. What I'm trying to stress here is treating yourself right often feels bad. But that's treating yourself right is calling yourself out on your BS. Am I trying as hard as I can be? No, I'm not. Should I be hanging around these friends? No, I shouldn't. That's treating yourself right. And what's the despite? Treating yourself right despite what? Despite how much you fail at everything I just said. The despite is no matter how much you fail, no matter how much you disappoint yourself. I constantly disappoint myself. I'm disappointing myself a few times a week. There's days I'm like, damn, I just got my ass kicked. I mean, like cognitively speaking, I just got my butt kicked. Damn, that was so stupid of me when I said this, when I did that, when I choked, when I made this decision, damn, that was so stupid. Guess what? That has no effect upon my self-esteem because I'm going to treat myself right despite my failures. But the right isn't, let me go party. It could be. I'm not saying that partying doesn't have its place. I'm not saying all of the normal notions of what it means, of what it does. A lot of the visceral things are good, but we just don't also do a lot of the more boring, trivial behaviors and practices. Treating yourself right would be forcing yourself to read, even if it's just a little bit. Forcing yourself to write, even if it's just a little bit. So my point is, there's not enough wisdom seeking, and yet, I can't fully have true, thorough sympathy and empathy for people, because I'm like, I understand that you're experiencing the negative consequences of such a fallible world, a fallible system, a fallible hierarchy. However, that being said, I don't believe you're trying hard enough. I don't believe you're pursuing wisdom enough. I don't. Does that therefore invalidate that which you complain about? No. But for me, it does invalidate your sense of righteousness with regards to this notion of there's nothing I can do about it. For sure. Because again, there is a resistance to a sense of gratefulness. And that resistance to that gratefulness then lends itself to a resistance to changing. A resistance to seeing the good so that you can be energized to make better decisions, to have better people in your life. We got to seek the wisdom more, man. That's my point. My point is wisdom matters. Wisdom matters. Wisdom matters. Not only does it matter, I believe it's worthy of being your greatest priority.